Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of War Infinite Panels. I'm joined by my co-host Jules.
Hi, everybody. Long time no see.
Yep, it's been a while. I survived New York Comic Con. It was taxing emotionally and physically.
You got to go to Comic Con.
Jules, you need like what, a $600 ticket, a hotel. Wait, actually, a place to stay, and to be there. That's super taxing.
To be on my New Year's resolutions for 2018.
Most, you could probably make it to San Diego more than me, probably.
What kind of deal with the devil do I have to make to just go to one Comic Con?
Well, there is this guy you can call. His name is Lucifer. He owns a bar.
Oh, called Lux. Oh my gosh, I love that shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of the devil and Comic Con and all hell breaking loose, if you guys have noticed by the title, we're talking about Marvel mostly.
Yeah. Mostly, yeah. The PR nightmare. I think the PR nightmare has been pretty bad for Marvel this last 2 weeks. I mean, the worst thing that happened to DC was that it's been announced on several forums and websites that Joss Whedon, who was taking over Zack Snyder for directing Justice League, will not be getting any credit for it. His name is not in the credits. It won't be as assistant director or anything.
Not even co-director or anything.
Yeah, it's like he just, even though Zack Snyder left to deal with personal problems, I believe his daughter took her life. Suicide's a terrible thing. Not getting to that, but Joss Whedon came in and fill in, and he's getting no credit whatsoever. And this is pretty horrible because I wonder if DC decided to do this because of Joss Whedon's sexual allegations that happened. We talked about last 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Or they're just doing this to spite him, or in some way, or something.
Right. So it's pretty bad. I mean, if I was Josh, I'd be super pissed. At the same time, I'm surprised he hasn't started complaining yet. I wonder if he already knew this was going to happen. He decided to, I'll take it.
Or maybe he just knew this was just going to be just a short time thing. He was just doing this as volunteer work. But I think even if this was volunteer work just to finish something, a Justice League movie, he should get credited in it or something. Like, I get it. He was doing this because Joss Whedon was dealing with some major problems. But again, guy deserves credit. I know. Whether this is going to be a good or bad movie, still a Justice League movie.
Yeah. I personally think that, my opinion is that because of these sexual allegations, it's marks of him.
What happened with Avengers 2?
In Avengers 2, yeah. And like I said, the sexual harassment he had against him, and that hit him pretty heavy when it happened. I think that's the reason why it doesn't be mentioned, because DC's like, he needs someone to do this. Josh is the best who can do it. He fits the role, but we don't want Josh involvement in it because we want to stay super unpolitical if possible.
Oh, really? Says the company that allows Eddie Berganza to work with you.
Oh, that's a burn.
It's like, seriously, so Joss Whedon's sexual allegations, we don't want him here. But yet you allow certain creators to stay in your company despite the numerous sexual harassment reports. That's classy. That's classy, DC.
I know. I feel like this is one of many disgusting tightropes they have to walk. And speaking of bad tightropes they have to walk, I mean, somehow, if you guys check this last month's sales of comics in September, DC's actually, even with all this happening, they're right behind Marvel, under about 5 and 6% under Marvel right now.
Which is not bad. I mean, They've been very quiet lately. Well, in
news.
No scandals or anything. Like, they've been promoting themselves well. They've been turning out okay content. They've been promoting events and everything. So far, it seems like they've learned their lesson. It's like people are gravitating towards them more and more. And so far, despite a few things, Rebirth, as many critics have pointed out already, Rebirth has been satisfying in a lot of ways. Like, I'm enjoying the Titans. the Wonder Woman series,
Greg
even if
Rucka.
yeah, even if Greg Rucka left, I'm really enjoying all the Superman books. So, and
Yeah,
I wonder to see where all this is going with Mr. Oz, or with or when are we gonna get to the Watchmen? Dang it!
yeah, and I think it's just strong, good editorial DC's been doing. I mean, I have a couple of complaints with DC, like kicking off Tim Seeley on Nightwing to put him on Constantine. I think Constantine should have been a Young Animal book. I don't think Sam Humphrey should be writing at DC. I don't think he's good at writing, Green
Yeah.
Lantern, and him writing Nightwing is not a good idea. These are minor things I complain about, but even then, DC is doing a lot better than they were during New 52. During New 52, Marvel was crushing DC like 10-15% every month, between that range. At some point, like 18%. Like every month, it was like boom, boom, boom. DC doing terribly, suck, blah, blah, blah. It's like straight up suckfest.
I think the only time that they beat Marvel in sales was during Villains Month.
I think it's
That
because
was
of the variants. I want to say because it was the variants.
because of the variants. But in a way, that's you winning via a gimmick, not so much out of like an event, like a real event or general sales.
Yeah,
Like you needed a gimmick in order to win.
yeah. And even and the thing that you could argue that both sides does it, but it was just really bad for DC because they were just in a straight up rut. They were a losing rut, and the only way for them to climb up was to use the ban. It's like I'll let that slide. You were in a losing situation. Like the same thing we could argue is that a bunch of data recently showed that I think it was last month. I think overall part this year so far that strangely enough, even though we all been hearing and talking, even this podcast, that the comic book industry is in a death spiral or we're doing bad in sales, bookstores have been selling comic books a lot better than comic book stores.
Yeah, and there's some speculation there. It's like we still have a few comic book stores here in on Guam, but it's mostly the comic book store. No, it's mostly the bookstores that have been selling well. But here's the thing: they're only ordering trades, and I think
Yes.
that's pretty much the same thing even in the States where bookstores are selling trades.
Yes, Barnes and Nobles has a huge collection of trades. Barnes and Nobles, particularly, this is if you guys know, if you follow me on the A1 podcast, Barnes and Nobles do sell manga. I think on once in a while, I think Josh, one of our co-hosts, will announce, there's a sale at Barnes and Nobles. Go pick up, get your 15% off, or like buy two for three. Barnes and Nobles also promote um, manga, like Manga Mondays. Here's the new things coming out this week. Get like 10% off a book or something like that. And I wonder if they're counting this is particular manga into those comic sales because comic books, I mean not comic book stores, bookstores do not buy floppies. They don't buy single issues, so they're just selling bulks and bulks of trades.
I mean, they sometimes do it, but mostly for like the mainline heroes like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Those are the only floppies that I've ever seen in like a bookstore. So those would make sense to get.
Yeah, so it's
But
even then
but
it's pretty
with
tricky.
it is, but with books, but with trades, this is a generation where we binge everything instead of watching each episode as it comes out.
Yeah,
I think the same applies with comic books.
true. And I think that just I think a guy, a comic book writer, who's currently at Marvel, Jim Zub, who's independent. You may know Jim Zub for Uncanny Avengers, Thunderbolts, Wayward, or his first series, Skull Kickers. He posted a very interesting topic about his opinion of the diminished sales in Marvel and the industry is that there's more bang for your buck now. There's much more entertainment in various formats. You're competing with manga, you're competing with trades, competing with other graphic novels, web comics being printed. You're also competing with older stories coming out in much bigger trades. Like, for example, I think a couple months, Jules, I was recommending the Punisher reprints, the giant ones by Garth Ennis, the Max Collection. I mean, I get to read like 10 years of book work in like 3 hours,
The same thing goes with like the new Teen Titans.
Yeah,
Like all old stories you can now read again.
exactly, which, thanks DC.
You were still doing something right somewhere.
somewhere.
But another fact, but along with those statistics, yeah, you mentioned like you wondered if they were also adding manga to those
Exactly.
statistics, which could be possible. I mean, whenever I talk to bookstores, they kind of lump manga and comic books together, even though there is a distinction. One's American, one's Japanese.
Right.
But at least they have the sense to separate them.
True. I think also because they consider them all within one. They just put them like, if you go to a bookstore, they just call them graphic novels. Here is the graphic novel section. Some separate the manga and comics, but they're all considered graphic novels when they sell them to you or they put it into their inventory.
So hopefully they're not lumping those statistics together, because also in the same article that we were reading, 76% are manga readers between the age of 13 and 26 or 26 or 29.
Yeah.
So that's a big number. So
I think also, well, I think manga has also become super accessible and it's become a more affordable, not affordable, it's become more easier, streamlined hobby to get into in a way because, Crunchyroll, Funimation, etc., all that jazz.
oh
It's also put in
yeah,
consideration that back in the day, manga was just hard and scarce to get by, and publishers just couldn't print the books. The dark ages of manga,
I
and
know, right?
and people
Where
just couldn't complete their series. Now it's much more confidence that you can read these manga, knowing one day they'll be completed or they're being printed on time. So I personally feel like, on a very serious note, that if more of those readers are now reading manga because of that, that's interesting. But yeah, definitely these books. There probably should be more statistics breaking out like comics, who's buying manga, and what particular comics are they buying? Are they
yeah,
buying the reprinted old stuff? Are they reading the current stuff?
it's like, is this Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, or something, or is this like
Like those young adult graphic novels. You know, like uh like the Babysitter's Club or Aya's Ghost, something like that.
But I think that with bookstores, they would be just ordering the more critically acclaimed stuff
Right.
most of the time. Sometimes they do pick up the dumb stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think
When
also
I
to be
saw
fair,
I saw Deadpool by Rob Liefeld. It's like, why did you get this? I thought you guys were smart.
well, they just don't know, and now they know. I think also to put in consideration a very fair note is that bookstores have a much more manageable budget when buying books compared to comic book stores. Like anytime uh, a bunch of books go bad or they want to get rid of product, they can slash the books, put it on these discount shelves, or do a combo deal. Comic book stores, which the way the industry are is because they're a lot of heat. They're not doing so well. They can't afford to do that.
Not to mention, with bookstores, they sell more than just comics, so they're able to keep themselves afloat.
Right.
Whereas with a comic book store, it's a very niche kind of business. Like
True.
even with like merch stores, they have to really push their products out just to pay their employees.
True. Like comic book stores is more like it's also a hobby store in some instances. A lot of comic book stores sell pops, they sell T-shirts, but as you mentioned, bookstores
Figurines.
sell a lot more things than just graphic novels. They sell various books, self-help, study books. Some bookstores have a goddamn Starbucks. I don't know why, but they got a goddamn Starbucks. So those coffee sales count as them because
or or the latest how to use a fidget spinner.
oh god, play that dubstep. Whoop, 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 whoop. But still, put in consideration, yeah, I think they also put in consideration bookstores can expand more and buy more. They have a much more palatable, easy budget to make sales for anything work for them. Comic book stores really can't because they focus on the comics themselves and a bunch of other smaller niches too. Like I remember back in the day, some comic book stores were huge buying model collector figurines like Transformer ones and all that jazz, but now they don't because it's not profitable anymore.
Yeah, I even remember like Voltron or even yeah, mostly it was Voltron. For some reason, Voltron was big here. I don't know how, but when you're a comic book seller, you have to be very mindful of what you're getting because again, you're a niche kind of. It's a very specific clientele that you're appealing to.
Right.
And also, I want to point out that the way the bookstores here on Guam bestseller, which is basically our closest thing to Barnes and Nobles, the way they're able to make bank with the comic sales that they have is because one of them is right in front of the theater, right, right
Location
in front
helps
of the
too.
god. Yeah, the location helps too. It's right in front of the dang theater. So when a new comic book movie comes out, oh, guess what they have? A a an entire shipment of Wonder Woman.
Hey man,
That
can't blame what works. I mean, I'll probably do the same thing. That's actually super smart.
it really is. They are just like one store away from the theater. It's right there.
Lols.
It works. When the Power Rangers movie came out, guess what happened? Oh, Power Rangers comics, which I'm surprised I have not gotten yet. But yeah, it's so while sales for comic books, yeah, we can't deny that the comic book industry eh, in
It's
a
going
stable.
through. I guess. I mean, I can't say shrinkage. It's going through a slight recession. I want to say because it's. I mean, people are still buying comics, but we're not buying them like we used to, and we're not buying them like in the '90s, which we should never go back to. That was a terrible time
No,
to buy comics.
I can't go back to the speculator boom, man. I can't go back.
Can't go back to Greg Land either. Porn face everywhere.
Ah, or Rob Liefeld everywhere.
Oh god,
Ah.
those huge muscles, biceps within biceps.
The gritting faces and the Captain America big chest, like
Yeah, those nightmares. But all seriousness, I don't think. Um, I think the comic book industry wants to be in the medium where I think we were like the late '90s and thousands, where people were buying comics and doing very well. I think my personal opinion is since I'm slightly older, I've seen the comic book live, hear it bumps in the road. I think it'll be okay. It really depends on what the publishers do, and as long as they're aware of it. Like, you can't pump out more books and people aren't buying. I think less books might be a good idea, or changing how we do. Which, compared to as we talk about DC, Marvel on the hand, it's not really getting the memo on that.
yeah, with their and we are going into the meat of this podcast, which is the PR nightmare.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. The
pretty.
first, okay, let's try to go with the soft stuff to even the bigger, more. Okay, I don't even know which is the soft one.
Let's go with the first one. So at New York Comic Con, you guys may be aware of there was a retail breakfast where one angry retail owner was screaming, yelling at Marvel characters, replacing them, said a whole bunch of hateful slurs. Everyone was there, and they had to escort the guy out. It was real embarrassing. And
Yeah,
that was just the start. The following day, they canceled their comic book with
Punisher.
no. The Punisher cancellation was legit. It made
Oh wait, no,
sense.
the Punisher series, which was okay. We'll get into that, but
Yeah.
what was the cancel Q&A?
They canceled the North. I think it was a Northern Gun Makers.
Okay.
They canceled a comic book with them. Remember, they were in out of nowhere like, we canceled the event. This isn't happening because out of the fans and outlets, it's like, dude, you're doing comic book with people who make guns right after the Las Vegas shooting.
Uh, they also canceled the Punisher panel because of that too.
Exactly. So you were willing to do a comic book. You're willing to do a panel about people who make weapons and promote that at Comic Con, but not a guy who used weapons to kill criminals. God, it's just so stupid.
It's just okay. Like I get it. Like you need to make money somehow. A publication needs to make deals with companies somehow.
Yeah,
That's what Marvel did with Disney. But why? Why?
it was so dumb. And the worst part about it, it's like, don't you guys do research? I mean, I mean, I'm gonna like crap, not crap Marvel. DC did pretty bad publication for, but I think the one was the Colonel Sanders and the Colonel Sanders like multiverse. Like that was a joke. The point of the matter is that was all. That was just pretty much a promotion piece, and I get it. But Marvel, please, what are you thinking? These people make weapons that kill people.
It's
People
like
just died like a week ago.
this isn't like a hamburger or a soda or a shaver that you could just promote in the comic.
Yeah, this isn't toasted. This isn't Hostess fruit pies. Okay.
Those are the days. But no, this is a gun. At this rate, I half expect you to like promote sex toys at the. I should not be giving them ideas.
Yeah.
Watch,
And
that's
also
gonna be in a
the sad part is I think we would have been okay with them promoting dildos and other sex toys. With like I would like yeah, Marvel making sex toys. Okay, I can live with this.
Like, couldn't you just put this in Deadpool? I mean, normally we accept almost anything with Deadpool, and also it's guns. So okay, he's promoting their specific weapons, and also everybody loves Deadpool, and it would be viable. But no, you're putting it in the hands of the what?
Exactly.
Putting it in what book?
Yeah, their own cross. It was so bad. So that was like part two of just PR. Like it was just so bad.
How did this happen in one weekend?
And you got part three for this, Jules? Because I'm already tapped out here.
Part 3? Okay, what was part 3?
Let's see, part one was the retail. Part two was the part three was the sense the lack of excitement I felt from people who went to the Marvel panel because when they were announcing books, things were continuing. People didn't feel excited. People didn't. People. It wasn't like they were bored. Just feel like, oh, okay. It was like apathy, and that was really scared me.
After everything that happened the past couple of days,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, and it was like, and the Marvel panel was like, oh, here's our writers, and we'll be doing. We'll have a new Avengers team. Jim Zub is
series.
now. Jim Zub was like, oh, we're bringing back Hank McCoy, Wonder Man. They were so cool, and everyone's like, everyone's like that subtle and clap,
like the awkward, like, we'll do it just because.
Yeah,
not because we're excited.
Yeah, and
was it as bad as like a classroom like applause where everybody just does it because they have to?
It was more like everyone just clapped, but at the same time they didn't like. It was like, ha ha.
Oh, it was that bad.
Yeah, people felt like I was there. It wasn't a bad experience, but I felt like people are kind of shifting away. Not shifting away from Marvel. They feel like Marvel isn't kind of being responsive to the changes that are happening within this fan base, as well as some of the older people who like Marvel. The lifers, if you would presume, because it's a huge clash. You have the new school kids who like who like new Marvel. There's nothing wrong with that. New Marvel appeals to the cool kids. I mean, whatever. And then the old lifers
with the old school.
The old school is like what's happening to my universe. It's overtly different, and that's fine. But it's like none of it seems classic.
Yeah, I mean. The stuff that they have now with, like, let's say, with Captain America, or with Miss Marvel, or with Iceman, or with female Thor, these aren't bad ideas. Well, okay, maybe the Nazi Captain America is very, very debatable.
Debatable.
But at least they're interesting stories, and, you know, I would rather have an interesting story than not do it at all, but I do get the complaints here. Is that the creative decision to spotlight these new people and push everyone to the side, basically giving it like sort of a superior Spider-Man almost approach?
Right.
Doing that with so many people, so many mainstay characters, may not have been the best idea.
No. And the thing about it is, like, it worked for some people. It worked for Miss Marvel. For me, Hawkeye, it worked a little bit for Hawkeye, for his video, but everyone else, not so much. And my opinion is, like, people make the argument, oh, they should have been brand new characters, own characters. I personally like female Thor. I think it's amazing.
It is.
I like the idea. Little spoiler: the hammer is a living entity. That's pretty cool. But
And I kind of want to echo what G. Willow Wilson had to say about this, and I think it was very poignant. It's like, maybe we should. It's not that diversity is a bad thing, or maybe we should just get rid of the word diversity entirely. That this is just the way the world is. There's people. We know that people come from different backgrounds. We have different beliefs, or even we have. There are more colors than just white.
right,
And also, let's say, even with. Also, I even read at the article that some people were screaming "homo" during the panel
yes, they were.
because they did not like what was going on with Iceman. It's like, guys, kind of reality right there. It's like, think of it this way: finding out Iceman is gay. Think of it this way: it's like finding out your friend who you've known for a long time is gay.
Yeah, I
That
think
happens.
yeah, it happens. I think the problem though is that people, the hatred, not the hate, I guess the disgust that, whatever you want to put it, upsettingness that people don't like the Iceman's gays because people had this idea for this character for like 30
Years.
plus years, and it's like he's now gay, and I'm scratching my head thinking, well, it wasn't done properly, and I'm like, I agree with that. I'm scratching my head. It doesn't really bother me him being gay because he actually may have a dimension of a character, a new dimension to him, just being a womanizing jokester. That's kind of all he was, honestly.
But it also brings up a new development in the sense that a lot of men are a lot of gay men kind of are in the same situation as him. Like, they try very hard to hide it. And
Super
this
straight.
Oh yeah, there are even like guys that have been who try to hide it. Like, let's see, even past their 30s, who try very hard to hide it. And
Rough.
in a way, this kind of adds a bit more depth to him now.
Yeah, that was mentioned, and like it doesn't bug because it's like, how to put this? His character was just a womanizing jokester. That's all he was, and then he's gay, and now he's dealing with self doubt, dealing with his tendencies, what he wants in a relationship. In
His
X-Men
parents
Blue,
his
Yeah,
parents rejected him.
yeah, in X-Men Blue, he's dealing with like trying to deal with a long-distance relationship. How bad he feels that his boyfriend's inhuman. And he's, he technically fucked over his entire race. Excuse my language. He's like, damn, I can't believe I did this. And it's like, it was completely different. If let's say he was still straight and Romeo was a woman, he'd be like, whatever, I get another baby anytime. And that's how he was back then. That's legitimately how he was. But now he
But
has a sense of depth of who he is. I think that's nice. I think that's really good for him.
I mean, even if you can try to argue that it wasn't done well, which I think it was done just fine, but sometimes the little it's better to actually build something positive from something negative. Like, even if something came about like not so great, it's better to actually just build on it rather than just to ignore it.
Oh yeah.
It's like when Barbara Gordon like got shot by the Joker. Like, some people weren't happy about that, especially Gail Simone, because women in refrigerators. But she built off from that and made Oracle, and a lot of people, as I can tell, really loved Oracle, and also
Yeah.
became one of the best examples of handy-capable superheroes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think they were debating a long time in DC, like after the Killing Joke, is Oracle canon or is she canon? And thanks to like Chuck Dixon and Gail Simone writing Birds of Prey, you see Barbara Gordon in a brand new light, and I think it was pretty good. I mean, it was like it's true, it wasn't the best scenario of her being crippled, but it kind of helped her character. As shitty as it is.
We actually take something of an awkward or terrible situation. No. We take something from a bad setup or a bad situation to something more positive and more constructive. And also, again, to what G. Willow Wilson said, this is kind of the world we live in now. Like gay people, Muslim people, people with disabilities, or people from many different backgrounds, they're kind of more commonplace than you think nowadays.
Right.
They're kind of everywhere. And that's a good thing to have. So the inclusion of these characters is not the problem. The problem is Marvel's management of them.
Right. As well as management, the execution, as well as how they promote them. I don't like how to put this. Some of these newer characters don't feel as authentic as they should be. Like, for example, Miles Morales' Spider-Man. Look, nothing against Bendis. He created characters great, but he should not be writing. That's it. He shouldn't be writing. That's it, man.
And from what I can tell, a lot of people, while still liking Totally Awesome Hulk, some people are missing Bruce Banner. And, maybe you could have still had, Amadeus Cho, but still had Bruce Banner, doing things like kind of like what they're doing with Thor. Like Thor is still around, still doing things. He still has his own series. Was it a mini?
Yeah, mini. On more than it was a mini.
Still has his own mini series, and we still see him every now and again. But in a way, it still does feel like they pushed him to the side. Like we can still have we can still have Jane Foster be Thor, but kind of giving the original Thor kind of the short end of the stick.
Well, he's still around. I mean, he has his other things. I mean, he's trying to be worthy again. He fought the Collector and realized, you know what, it's a bad idea for me to just steal a random hammer and call myself Thor again. It's a little spoiled if you read Unworthy Thor. If you didn't read it yet, that's kind of what happens, the gist. But I think that they still play a role, at least in Thor's, because I really, really love Thor. It plays a piece in it, and I think that was a good way to handle it. I feel like, as you mentioned earlier, Bruce Banner should be part of the short story somehow. I mean, you just have She-Hulk.
And I can also sympathize with this being like a very drastic, base-breaking change. Like when they unveiled, like, oh, this is the new Avengers. These are the new Avengers now. Oh, really? Wow. Oh,
people just like, who?
It's like we get Miss Marvel. It's like, okay, female Thor, but where's Cap? Where's Tony? Yeah, it's like, what?
Well, I think exactly. And then now Riley Williams is Iron Man, and it's like scratch your head, like, huh?
I can understand, the very, very big change. It's like, well, at the unlike whereas let's say with DC, where we have the Teen Titans, which is being led by
Damian,
little munchkin. I want to kill Damian. At least everybody else is likable, whereas we still also have the Titans, Dick Grayson's team.
Yeah.
We still have them. They both get equal opportunity in the spotlight. Whereas these new guys, they're kind of front and center. And I get it. A lot of the classic fanboys who grew up with, Cap, Thor, Tony as the Hulk, Hawkeye as the main Avengers. It's a very big change, and maybe we can iron this out, sometime in the future, and maybe this will just be a temporary thing. So yeah, maybe we could, once they've had their time, maybe.
My personal thing is, like you mentioned before, the Titans, they both exist. And Marvel's trying to do that now with Legacy. They have these one-shot generations where, the current heroes are being the past heroes, which is a good idea. I felt that should have been the first step before introducing these new heroes.
And again, these ideas for these new heroes is not bad. It's
no, they're not bad. It's just that they are now the face of a series or characters that people have expectations for. And some of them kind of just came out of nowhere for some people, like Riley Williams for Iron Man. Like, literally just came from like an issue, and then boom, she's Iron Man.
I mean, at least with Miss Marvel, she's been around long enough.
Miss Marvel, she earned her due. She is Miss Marvel. Period.
It's like she earned her and also her reputation so far, and the fan love is unchallenged. But at least she's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And female Thor, Miss Marvel came first, then the female Thor.
Yeah, it was Miss Marvel, then female Thor. Yeah.
But again, it's like, Marvel, your ideas aren't bad. Just manage this better. That's all we ask.
This nightmare will never end.
or this nightmare will never end. Also, don't try to promote guns in your comics. Like, go back to promoting sodas or cheeseburgers or something.
Hostess fruit
Like,
pies. It'll
or fruit
save
pies.
everybody.
Yes, fruit pies. The Hostess fruit pies. Like, sponsor a Twinkie.
Love
There.
it. Exactly. Anyway, let's end this nightmare with some cool, subtle breezes of our recommendations. Jules, you're up.
Okay, so my other recommendations are going to be a bit crazy. So to just even out the craziness, I'm going to recommend Avatar: The Last Airbender, of course, The Promise, volumes 1 through 3, and this was published by Dark Horse back in 2012, and it's written by how to pronounce it? Jen Luen Yang. I'm sorry if I'm murdering the Chinese language right now. And also, it's also co-written by Bryke, who are Mike and Brian Konietzko, who were the show writers. And this is taking place after the war had ended, and they're trying to work out, okay, what do we do with the Fire Nation colonies, because some of these people have actually mixed with the locals, and we can't just say, hey, get out of the Earth Kingdom. We can't do that because now they have children with them, and now we have to think about dual citizenship. And also Zuko kind of dips back into his old evil self as Fire Lord. And okay, it's very interesting, a very good topic. I think this is a better way to handle politics than how politics was handled in The Legend of Korra. I'm sorry, but this one, especially as someone who lives on Guam, where colonization is kind of a touchy topic here, where for some reason we're trying to decolonize, which I don't think is a good idea. But yeah, this is both a politically charged book in terms of immigration and colonization, but also it's still Avatar. You still have the fun wackiness of Aang and the gang. Aang has a fan club apparently, and they shaved their heads just for him and tattooed themselves. It's still Avatar, but it is a very insightful book, and also more, even a little bit more development for Aang and Zuko. Zuko nearly got assassinated within a week 6 times. It's great. Oh, Bryke, why isn't this animated? Why aren't any of your Avatar comics animated? This is great. Why do we have to bother with Legend of Korra?
Hey. Relax.
I'm sorry. It's just
Korra never happened, okay? What are you talking about? There was only the classic Avatar.
It's just, I don't hate Korra. I just hate where it's trying to be politics for adults. Like, equality doesn't work that way.
Look, let's put it this way. In my opinion, Korra never happened. I only have Aang. I only respect Korra once every 3 years, and that'll be next year, for me.
Okay, so what's your recommendation?
My recommendation are 2 books. One book I picked up from New York Comic Con. I managed to meet the creators, David Papose and Jorge Saltigo Jr. This is their book, Spencer Locke, printed by Action Lab. I'm sorry, Action Lab Danger Zone. I'm sorry, that was Action Lab. It's pretty much a great crime story. It's a miniseries that how to put this? It's a love letter to gritty, pulpy noir stories like Sin City or Criminal and Calvin and Hobbes, where the main character is somewhat delusional, a little bit, but he's actually a really good detective, and he's trying to solve a case. And it gets dark pretty fast once you figure out what's actually happening. And it's a fantastic story. And my only beef is that the first 2 issues were phenomenal. The 3rd issue was amazing. It wrapped up too quickly. My only wish is that I wish it was 6 issues, a little longer. But I did receive word that he announced that he'd be doing a part 2 to this sometime in 2018. So I'm very excited about that. So yeah, that's Spencer and Locke. And the next book I'm recommending is The Current Deathstroke. The 3rd volume just recently came out. Christopher Priest freaking kills it, man. He makes Deathstroke like the ultimate dysfunctional dad. It's just great. If you haven't picked up Deathstroke 3 by Christopher Priest, please do. I mean, it's already been nominated. It was nominated for an Eisner for Best New Series. I don't know if it won it, but it was nominated.
Oh, is that the reason why I kept seeing Deathstroke everywhere?
Yes. It's actually a good series, Jules. You should read it.
Like he was trying to kill off everybody. It's like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, yeah, because he thinks the only way to make this happen, make the stupidity that he caused happen, is to kill everyone that can never happen. He
Well,
tried to
good
kill
luck
his,
doing that.
yeah, he tried to kill his daughter's wife because he tried to kill his daughter's fiance because he was banging her and using her to get information on him. But he realized if I kill her and tell my son that, hey, she was a spy and I protected you, you can love me, right? Right? I'm a good dad, right? You were banging my fiance, dude, who was working for
It's
you.
even just thinking off of that, like, oh yeah, this is totally gonna pan out well. Just like you trying to kill Superman. It's like, okay, good luck with that.
Yeah, he did do that, by the way. He tried that. Really? Yeah.
Like both, this is gonna be both awesome, but at the same time stupid. Like it's like Deathstroke. You just want to compete with Deadpool when Deadpool killed the Marvel Universe, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. But honestly, it's a very well intriguing series.
I want to
Christopher
see what
Priest.
this is.
Yeah,
I'm gonna see what this is.
you have to see what this is. Yeah, Yeah, it's Christopher Priest for Joe Bennett and Larry Hama for penciling. I forgot who the inker was. I think was it Carlo Panagula? Pulian? I'm terrible at names, but it's just a great series. My only beef with this, my only complaint with the series is a little bit repetitive, but it's repetitive enough so you understand what's happening because a lot of stuff happens really fast in that book.
Okay, I will check this out because I just want to know, like, how the heck did this all start? Like, how did he go from this to trying to murder every superhero from the Titans to Superman?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I said, he is the best dysfunctional dad ever.
I'm not gonna argue with that. I'm not gonna argue with that.
I got-
It's like it's at this point. It's like, yeah, best dysfunctional dad. I mean, you'd have to be crazy to try and murder everybody.
Only to prove you love your daughter. That you were
Only
there
to
for her
prove-
birthday.
Only that just to prove it. Please tell me nobody had to cut out their own eye.
Ah. But yeah, those are my recommendations for the month. I want to again.
I have two more recommendations. You know, just some level-headed to just balance out the crazy. The crazy. Speaking of crazy, Spider-Man / Deadpool. It's like, yes, I'm gonna call it that. Spider-Man / Deadpool, issue number 22, by Elliot Callan. And so this series is great. I mean, putting the Merc with the mouth with the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And today they went to a theme park. So this can only end in good. And it's just I just keep wondering to myself, Spidey, why do you hang around this guy? Why do you let him drag you into these weird situations? Like, I know that you had a fun time at the bar that one night where you danced half naked in front of how many people and they threw money at you, but it's to this point, like, you're in a theme park and you're about to die. Okay? It's just the fun and monotony of it's more fun and monotony from Spider-Man and Deadpool, just what naturally follows suit when you put them together. And also the artwork's not half bad either. And also, speaking of other craziness. So if you thought putting Spider-Man and Deadpool in the same comic was the best thing ever, try putting the Justice League and the Power Rangers together. Yes, I just said that for any of you who are just hearing this for the first time. It's just Boom Studio. I think this is Boom Studios and DC's best idea out of this year because the crossover that I never thought could happen did happen. And fan service doesn't even begin when Brainiac takes control of the Zords, and you know we're fucked. Pardon my language. Or when the Titans and the Justice League are fighting giant monsters alongside dinosaur mechas. This is glorious. And Lord Zed is teaming up with Brainiac, and they get to and the Justice League are asking scientists of their world, can we use the Hydron Collider to form a portal to their Earth? Like, we're doing this. With the This is why I love comic books. I just read 2 issues last night, issues 3 and 4, and all of this is happening. And my brain feels like, no, stop it, you're eating too much junk food. Like, no, more of this. It's great so far, and, there's character development and stuff in the side, but, we're not here for that. We're here for the stupidity. I tell people about this comic, and they don't believe me, and then I show them the pictures, and, there. It happened. Justice League are giving the Power Rangers weapons. There you go.
Just waiting for the Justice League Tower to transform into a Megazord, then we're all doomed.
Yes! Or, it's just... Yeah, it's kind of weird considering that, the Justice League obviously have more in terms of power and versatility versus the Rangers, but seeing them work together is still pretty cool. And also Cyborg being taken over by Brainiac. Like, okay, did not see that.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's everything else from the Wars Infinite panels. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next month. Please be sure to follow us on social media, and Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends, and hopefully they'll like our commentary, and hopefully Jules will spaz out.
And hopefully Marvel won't explode.
Yeah, by next month. I mean, let's just pray.
By next month. Hopefully DC will stay relatively quiet and still promote cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're announcing a new book with Keith Giffen and Jeff Lemire, the Inferior Five. I mean, they currently have Miracleman out. I think they're going to be okay for the next 6 months.
Tom Strong and Static Shock, yes.
Oh yeah, and the Milestone Media might come out again. They always announce it, but who knows? Will they actually go through? Who knows?
Dwayne McDuffie would be so happy. Oh, rest in peace, Dwayne.
Yeah, praise and peace, man.
But anyway. Thanks again, everybody. So thank you so much for listening in, and see you later. I promise I won't spaz out.
All right, later, guys.